May 5th?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
coming up.
That's my notepad downstairs. Oh, wait, I think it's in here.
Red light.
All right, I would like to entertain a motion to,
I thought we were going to do the salute to the flag, but I will,
What would you
Madam
move?
Chair, I will move that we seal the minutes to the non-public until such time as a majority of the Board of Selectmen feels it is wise and prudent to unseal them, with the exception of disseminating to the town bookkeeper that information which is pertinent to her position.
I'll second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye. The
All right.
light's out. I don't know if it
One
means
second.
anything, but I think we should
Now
keep
the
going.
Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I forgot my tape recorder. Did you bring yours?
Thank you, everyone. I would entertain a motion to approve minutes.
Madam Chair, I would make a motion to approve the non-public and public minutes dated December 4th, 2018.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I would also make a motion to approve the non-public and public meeting minutes dated December 10th, 2018.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, now on to scheduled business. Our first item is presentation of certificates of appreciation. And they
I've got
are-
that. So, wanted to just give a little history very quickly. I had the idea late last year of expanding our Veterans Day ceremony to include a free breakfast for our veterans. And like any good idea, I just came up with it, and I expected other people to execute on it. So I appreciate that our Selectmen Office Secretary, Diane Moran, was the first one to step up and say, this is a great idea, I'll take it and run with it. And she did so. And she also had a neighbor, Ed Lemec, who I guess Ed's not here tonight, right? Couldn't make it.
No, it's not.
Ed deserves a lot of credit because he had done this sort of thing before. He stepped right up. He wanted to just help the veterans. So then we showed up and everybody pitched in, and we have many of our volunteers here, and we want to give them certificates of appreciation because hopefully this is the first of many of these we do. We appreciate all their efforts to put on a very successful breakfast for the veterans, and also it should be noted, we'll do it with a letter, but both the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts helped out as well. So we're going to embarrass who's ever here, so I'd like to ask Sally Woodman to come up and get a certificate with our thanks. We need applause. Sally, thank you very much. Appreciate your help. Okay.
Thank you.
And Diane doesn't have far to walk, but Diane, we appreciate everything you did to make it happen. As talked about before, we'll get this to Ed Lemec, but he was a huge part of this. Sharon Brothers as well. Jim Ryan, who couldn't stay. Chief Michael Jewett stepped up too. I think his thing was he refused to cook, he just wanted to serve, so. The vets might have been safer that way. And Pat Masterson could not be here either, but again, we thank them, and we'll get these to them, and hopefully this will be a good thing to happen every year in the town, so thanks, everybody.
Right, thank you. I would like to skip over item B for a moment and move on to item C, which is letter from residents. Now, who would like to speak to this item?
I think our resident is here, right?
Yes. Would you like to come over here and... Chief, could you move the chair out of the way, please? Thank you.
you grab the microphone? Thank you. You're a rock star. So it should be on.
Well, my name is Cheryl Killam. I've lived in Newton for over 23 years already, because at the time of the letter, it was 22. And I've just been very concerned about some issues regarding the ADA that I have been watching since I've been here, and I haven't seen some improvements, so I figured it was time to write and just alert the board to some things I think need some attention. First and foremost is the parking here. Park down the hill and come into the selectman's office. It's at a slant. It's very, very difficult to maneuver. I don't know the solution, other than having people come in here and have town clerk come up when you need it, you know. In a power wheelchair, I can do it, but I can imagine there are people with other disabilities who might not be able to do that maneuver. I know the town's done the best they can for what they've got, but I think you need to think about other ways for people to come in and get services in the building.
And I agree that that is something that we should be looking at, and we will look at, you know, what our options are.
Yeah, I don't know. I
mean-
came in here and helped the town years and years and years ago, and it was like, I think this is the best you can do.
That's
We
some-
don't have a lot of space to work with either.
When we discussed, because I chaired a committee that looked at the various town facilities, that was one of the prime reasons for the idea of moving the town clerk's office into this hall. However,
Oh, up to here, up to this level?
right, to this level, that way you have the handicap parking that's on par, leaving downstairs those that are less likely to receive requests for handicap. It would move the voting out of here, but we've done stage A, which is build a new fire station, which is handicapped accessible.
Wheelchair accessible?
And then, you know, once that was done, the police station is handicapped accessible as far as I know. I'm looking at the police chief going, he's just sort of staring at me. But those two are done. The next thing, I mean, if you've been around Newton for quite some time, you know how long it took us to get a new fire station.
Yes. And police station.
It would be horrible to lose this building completely, but you know, we already have the food pantry has cut into this space. Now that we have other space where we can hold meetings that is accessible, maybe that's something that the board will look at in the not too distant future. However, from past experience, if we do that, say within the next 3 to 5 years, we might, when I become a great-great-grandfather, be looking at it. You know, it's one of those things that we're probably looking down the road.
I mean, I understand that if somebody can't physically get here, you do accommodate them, but
Yeah, and I'm
just
sure if
not-
someone is unable to get into the building downstairs due to whatever reason, that a simple call and somebody would actually come out and assist.
Yeah,
So I'm
that's-
pretty sure that our town employees are willing to do that for any resident so that they can conduct their business. But that's not a solution.
correct. It's a Band-Aid.
It's a Band-Aid.
Right.
So it is in the, you know, we must look at, you know, along with a lot of other things that we must look at. And again, a lot of it comes down to cost and getting people to agree to fund. If we put, you know, a high-cost repair or change to this driveway in our budget, people will vote it down and will be in the default. Or if we put it as a separate warrant article, chances are it will get voted down. So it will take a while. And so obviously, what cost-effective methods, if any, et cetera. So we have to view options.
There have been a few times where I've come here to sign up for something, and the door was supposed to be in town hall, and the door was locked. So, you know,
Okay.
we'd ring the doorbell, but people don't understand, not everybody comes in that way. So there needs to be more attention to if somebody's
That's something we can remind people
We can
of.
put a little sign up that says, remember to unlock and unlock, this door. So that's a cheap fix. We can do that.
a sticky note.
Yes, exactly. So we can do that.
The other thing I had talked about the parking during elections, that's a temporary event, and that was taken care of for that day.
Right.
But I've noticed, today it happened, I was opening my door to have my ramp deployed, and somebody pulled into the access aisle. Now it's dark, I don't know if you can see the stripes, but I would recommend a no parking sign be put up for the access aisle where the dumpster is, so that nobody pulls in. I don't know if they could see it at night, but that's a pretty bright light that's out there. People don't always get that the stripes mean no parking.
And
That
I
person
think,
backed up,
I
so
do
I
think
figured out.
that's something that we can fit into our budget somewhere, a no parking sign in the striped area.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good idea.
And number two, like I said, it was taken care of on election day. There wasn't a problem. In fact, it was so busy I had to park elsewhere.
But in general, you're number two, just for the folks in the audience, there was an issue with someone who was parked within the access aisle.
Yes.
That made it difficult for you. And
Repeatedly.
whether
Election
it's
after election after
election or even just town business,
Nobody.
nobody should ever be parking in that spot.
Yeah. It is
So-
illegal, it's up to a $250.
And at the time, the person who was there was asked to move their vehicle, and
And yelled at me.
Well,
So-
Yeah, she did.
I won't go there.
I know, but I'm gonna-
However, I will say that if, our officers happen to be cruising the area and they see a vehicle there, they can also take care of it.
but that was a couple of elections ago. Since then, we have been putting cones there to
Yes.
remind people,
Yes.
which may be something that we could even do.
Phones get
I
stolen.
understand the
Yeah,
concept
cones
of putting
get
up.
taken
Phones get stolen.
Yeah.
all the time.
I used to use them myself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they get taken.
Open up the door, put out a cone, come back.
I was just going to say, they work on like election days or, days when,
Temporary events.
Yes.
however, something permanent there.
Now, our chief will testify that he's had
Yeah.
many cones disappear over the years.
Oh, okay.
All right, so that's item 2. And then item 3.
Item 3 is the senior recreation program. There was a program going to Maine, and the bus was not wheelchair accessible. And I was told, I could climb the stairs and put my wheelchair on. No. And I wasn't the only one interested who also could not climb stairs. So I don't know what that means in terms of programs, but it needs to be considered. If you're going to offer transportation, it should be a wheelchair accessible vehicle. They should not be charging more for a bus that has a lift, because most buses by now should have a lift. It would be older buses that don't have lifts.
So it's just, they need to consider ensuring that whatever bus they rent
Has a wheelchair lift.
has a wheelchair. So something they can ask before they actually do the rental.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, I'm, I'm surprised that we did this, because I always thought we did rent an accessible bus, and we should. The only thing I would add, and I know it's not in your letter, but just add, is sometimes the places we're going to may or may not be
Place was.
accessible. So, but yeah, our buses, I think that's kind of an easy thing, to just make sure we're getting a bus that has accessibility, so we'll make sure in the future with that.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Oh, I would just question whether or not we should be having a publicly funded anything where we go somewhere that is not handicapped accessible.
Correct.
I mean, it becomes then very restrictive.
You can get, we'll take you there, but you can't get in there.
Oh,
Wouldn't be good.
Well, no, but if you call ahead, before
Yes.
that whether or not, because some of these places are, historic landmarks or things like that that don't necessarily have the accessibility, so.
Not full accessibility.
Full accessibility, yeah.
Yeah, because Castle in the Clouds,
No,
We-
can't do it.
we actually, we had a bus that had a wheelchair access because we had somebody in a wheelchair.
Right, but
We can get you all the way up, we can't get you to the second floor of Castle in the Clouds. Because I remember I carried somebody up those stairs.
and if you have any question, I know most places in New Hampshire, I can tell you, no, yeah.
Yeah.
And it might even be helpful if you were able to attend or offer insight into the planned recreations. Because I know they do plan these well in advance. So if you have insight as to whether or not these are accessible to all residents, then that would help with the planning as well. Right? So that's item 3. Item 4,
Item 4 was when the meeting was, Board of Selectmen meeting was scheduled at the construction office, and I called and asked if it was accessible, because I wasn't familiar with the building. I didn't think it was. I thought it was at least a step up. And I was told that, well, if it isn't, we'll meet outside. And that was not appropriate, because if you don't move a meeting outside to accommodate somebody in a wheelchair, you make the meeting accessible, which it ended up being by opening up the bay doors, and we went in, which was a 10-minute meeting. I didn't know that ahead of time, but you just need to know when you schedule a meeting, it has to be in an accessible location. The actual construction office has a step up, and that's what the minutes, the agenda said, it was in the office.
and I do believe when it was found out that there was a resident who had an issue with being able, with it being accessible, that there was a change made.
Correct, it was changed to the bay instead of in the office.
So it did, the meeting was accommodating for all at the end of the day, correct?
At the end of the day, right.
Okay,
Yeah, but we shouldn't have
It has to
posted
be
a
done
meeting.
ahead of time.
Yeah.
right. There wasn't enough forethought given to the posting of the meeting, is where we're going with
Yeah.
that. But when it was brought to our attention, we did address it, correct?
Yes,
Okay, thank
don't do it again.
All right, and item 5?
Oh, the fire station, I mean, that's been beating a dead horse, but just, I am a code compliance specialist, I'm an accessibility specialist, I've been doing this most of my life. I know basics about building construction, and it just blew me away that a new public building had not only accessibility issues, but it did have accessibility issues. I know they've been fixed. Shouldn't even have been fixed. So,
Well, I will say that
very concerned
we
about
had
an
not,
architect not knowing this.
I will say that we had not signed off that the fire station had been completed at the time we had received your letter. We had, as a board, we had been informed that there were some issues with ADA compliance. And as a board, before we were willing to accept that the building was completed, which we haven't fully, even at this point, it was looked into and it was addressed. So it was already something that we were taking care of as part of our course of business.
But the building had already been constructed and a lot had been done. So what I'm saying is, how did it get to that point? Accessibility is number 2. Life safety is number 1. Accessibility is number 2. So I'm concerned that a design professional, an engineer, an architect, whoever, just doesn't get it.
Yep. And at this point in time, we do not have the, in the bottom line is, Board of Selectmen is responsible. So it got there because we are here. However, we fixed it. That's all I can tell you is we fixed it. We as a board had it fixed to get it addressed.
Yes, I understand that.
All right,
But with the writing of this, that hadn't happened.
very true. And so hopefully we've addressed everything in your letter. Is there anything final you'd like to say before we move on?
You ever have any questions about accessibility? I'm right down the road.
We appreciate your offer, thank you.
Thank you.
We should say that the building is now ADA compliant.
Right.
Yes, but it's not fully completed, but
Right.
the ADA compliance discrepancies have been resolved.
Right.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, item D. Request for $400 reimbursement for a firefighter one class.
It's the resident here.
She was here, but she left. And I told her that you would probably take it up.
Okay.
Okay, so do we have somebody who could speak to this? Chief?
Good evening. I can represent the fire department's half on it.
Okay, so just to be clear, we have a resident who requested reimbursement for a class that they took, and they put out their own money. So if you could give us some details here, Chief?
And
No.
the person requested that this be discussed in public.
Yes, the person did request that this be discussed in public.
Okay, and the other individual that was mentioned in the letter also, but out of respect to both parties, we will not mention the names,
Correct.
okay? The town administrator sent me the
Email?
individual's request for reimbursement. What I did was, I checked the records. I also, since what I found in becoming chief, the state of New Hampshire, when you go to the fire academy, the only time the fire chief knows is when he signs the application for you to go to the fire academy, and if you pass the fire academy, unlike Massachusetts, that we get a monthly report. Okay, so in regards to that individual that asked, I have the data hire, the agreement that goes with the SOPs. I have the SOP, the signature, on when they received the SOPs. I have 2015 education policy that the board voted on. It was amended in 2016. Both of them say the same thing, just in different paragraphs, and it says that the member must complete and pass the course in order for the course to be paid by the department. It also goes on that if the department does pay for the course, you have to complete the course, or you have to reimburse the town. So what I did was, I couldn't find nothing in that individual's training file, so out of respect to that individual, I emailed the fire marshal's office, the training, fire academy, and asked for some insight. I respectfully requested on behalf of the Board of Selectmen and myself, a transcript of the training records and a transcript of payment. The board received the email that I forwarded them from the fire academy that states that the individual did pay the fire academy $400, but the individual did not complete the academy. There's no reason why the academy was not completed. They will not release it. The individual that sent the letter requesting for payment denied the town, the Board of Selectmen, and myself to have access to the training records. That's in the email sent to the board.
And we really, we really don't even need to know to answer this question, right? We need to know it wasn't completed? I mean, is that correct?
According to the email that the board received,
Yeah.
the course was not completed. But also in that request for payment to the town, there was another individual's name mentioned.
Yeah.
For the record, I do have his training records. He was compensated for completing the Mass Fire Academy. He did fully complete firefighter 1 and 2. He is a pro board firefighter. I have all his training records that he authorized for release, if anybody wants to see them. At such
The
time,
Mass Fire
he
Academy?
went to the Mass. He originally went to the New Hampshire Fire Academy.
Yeah.
I have his application. The two parts to graduate from either academy is a practical and a written. He excelled in the practical. He missed the written by 1 point, so he failed the New Hampshire Fire Academy. The town did not reimburse him for failing the New Hampshire Fire Academy, because by the policy, you have to complete the academy. So he took the, I think, $850 bill on his own. When we switched him to the Mass Fire Academy, because there was no New Hampshire Academy classes, he signed an agreement that the town would reimburse him after he completes the academy. I have his agreement. We received documentation, which I have from the Fire Academy, saying that he graduated from that class. I have his pro board certification saying he's pro board firefighter 1 and 2, wildland firefighter, everything. And I also went back and asked the bookkeeper if she could go back to 2015 and see if by mistake we did pay that individual for the New Hampshire class. And I have their emails, and I'm sure you have too. We did not. The young lady that asked for reimbursement, the town did reimburse her full for completing her EMT training. So the town did reimburse her already because she completed her EMT training. She brought in all the required documentation, went to the bookkeeper, to the Board of Selectmen for approval.
So it sounds like we're going to deny the
I was
request
just going to
for...
say, Madam Chair, I would move that we deny the request for reimbursement from, we gotta give her name, Ms. Elliott.
So before we do that,
Okay.
if you don't mind, and I'll second for discussion, just so everybody knows what we're talking about here is, so we have a resident who's a former member of the fire department who took the firefighter academy, was not able to complete it. We don't know why, but was not able to complete it. She said in her letter, and I don't think we need to identify her at all, she said in her letter to us that she should have been reimbursed because another member, she heard another member of the fire department had been reimbursed in the same situation. So what I just heard from the chief here is it was not the same situation because there was no completion, but there was kind of a retake, if you will, right? I guess you could call it a retake. It was a
both-
different academy, but.
Correct, both individuals. The individual that sent the letter
Yeah.
to the board was given the same opportunity that, since I've been chief, and I know the prior administration did the same thing. If you did not make the academy the first time, you were allowed to go a second time.
Yeah.
So everybody, we're following suit on that. The only difference is to give the only thing I can go by and the board can go by is what the academy sent us. They're not releasing her transcripts. She did not complete the academy.
Yeah, so I just wanted to summarize what we're dealing with here, because I think we have a clear-cut policy, and not to put the police chief on the spot, but I think he probably has the same deal. If you successfully pass something, then you're reimbursed, right? So if somebody does not successfully pass something, we don't reimburse them.
And I would
It's
just...
the policy, and I will say, places I've worked before had the same policy. I don't think it's unusual.
Yeah, and I just want to add one more thing, that should this resident provide us with her transcripts or proof of completion, then we would be able to revisit this request.
Actually, no, because the Fire Academy email says she did not complete it.
There's always room for human error, no matter where you go. If she were to be able to provide us with certified transcripts or letter from the academy stating that she did pass or complete, and there's just a bookkeeping error based on the email. This is all I'm saying.
Okay, well, I just don't want to get set up that if this person went somewhere to work for a different town.
No, I'm saying,
Okay.
If there was some kind of error in the message that we received, and she was to go, and this resident was to go back to the academy and say, look, your records are wrong, fix it, they fix it, they give her the documentation we need, she brings it to us, then we would be able to revisit it. But that would be the only way.
Exactly.
Just so the board is aware of it, we did try to do that. Out of respect for the individual who wrote the letter, we did try, because again, New Hampshire Fire Academy does it. So in going on what you were saying, the class so the certification would have to reflect 2317 I 157. That's the class number.
Well, yeah,
So
I
in
mean,
going in what Mr. Doggett's saying, if the individual comes in and the class date would have to match, you can't.
absolutely, that's what I'm saying. It would have to be transcripts and/or letter of completion.
Exactly.
For the specific class at the academy that was paid for and attended for at that time.
Exactly.
I'm not talking about
No,
something taken
no,
later.
that's fine. And what I'm saying is that could have already been done if they would have authorized the release.
And I just wanted to, in case there's some kind of clerical error, which can happen, that it was known it could be revisited.
You're right.
But-
That's why we reached out.
Yep.
Because we wanted, in case we made a mistake, we wanted to make sure that we had all the proper documents in case we missed something.
All right.
In the
So-
meantime, my motion is to
Yep.
deny reimbursement.
We got your motion, we got a second, we just wanted to have a little discussion. If there's no more discussion, entertain, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so request is denied. Thank you, chief. Ambulance agreement renewal. You didn't think you were going to sit down, did you?
Before we have, just for the people watching at home, it's very unusual that we have anybody here except for people that have business, so do we want to skip to anything? Because we
Oh,
made people wait a
Yes,
little
we-
later
we-
tonight.
If you don't mind, we actually have someone here who's usually not at our meetings. Chief, you're usually at our meetings, if you don't mind.
We can get them
We
up
we
and
can
out.
go to, I want to say is it budget review we want Kim for? Kim, what are you here for? All right, so you're not any, and you, sir? You're
Just
just,
observing?
Okay.
all right, so,
Art, you're just observing?
oh, excellent. Well, then, just wanted to make sure that we weren't holding anyone here, waiting till we got to their part. Okay, Chief, so back to you and the ambulance agreement renewal.
Correct. There is I'm sure the board is aware, Chief Mercado, who was the liaison between the communities that are serviced by Trinity, is retiring at the end of the month. There is a new chief as the liaison. The contract was sent out to all the communities. We had the EMS, the town's EMS coordinator review it, and the only thing that was picked up on it was had the wrong address. And I'm not sure if it was Nancy or Diane contacted the proper individuals, so that was amended to read, I believe, 8D Merrimack Road and not 35 South Main Street. Everything else was the same.
In the years that changed.
In the years. Thank you, boss.
Are we still on the outskirts of their service area?
Yes.
Okay.
So all of the transporting guidelines, et cetera, between Trinity and our ambulance, that's still all the same as well?
That was in the documents from the last contract.
And there's any compensation, they just get paid by
Those they transport.
those they transport, we don't pay them,
Correct.
correct? So I'm just making sure people understand what it is.
The biggest thing that has changed, and it's not going to change the contract. In the contract, there is for certain medications, certain supplies, 1-for-1. Unfortunately, there are certain narcotics and different medications that they cannot switch. So the town, if we use it at a call, and the town does not transport, then it will come out of the fire department's budget for certain narcotics.
This would be a good time to remind people that, heaven forbid they should need an ambulance, they do have the right to request that Newton's ambulance transport them. And they can say that to the dispatch when they call in.
That is the agreement we have. If a resident requests Newton to transport, all we do is call Rockingham County, and per resident's request, Newton will transport.
All right, so I would entertain a motion to sign.
Move to have the chair sign the Trinity EMS.
I think you all have.
Yeah, it looks
Yep.
like 5
Okay.
lines.
Okay, in that case, move to sign.
I'll second.
All right, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. All right, our next item is,
Back to, get that stuff out of the way.
Can I
Fire
just,
res-
it's really not an amendment to the motion, but since there's 3 of us here, can we get all 5 to sign?
We can certainly try.
thank you. All right, so fire rescue station project update. Is there,
If I may, Madam Chair, the project manager contacted me before the meeting. He just wanted me to remind the board that the board, in regards, because it's on the agenda also, the fire pump,
yep, that's part of the project
the
update, yep.
board has to contact the engineer to give him the authorization to ensure that that pump will meet the town's requirements. I believe he's waiting for somebody from the board to give him the authorization to do the calculations to ensure that that pump is ready to go.
So I'd have to go back to the minutes from 2 weeks ago, but I believe I don't know what you mean by authorization, but I believe this board said, reach out to the engineer, Jeff Murphy, and tell him to do the calculations to see if it's feasible. Am I remembering that
That
correctly?
is my understanding
my
as well.
recollection
And the
also.
only thing, I don't want to, the only thing I can think of with the project manager, did the
Yeah.
board assign somebody to do that, other
So,
than the fire chief?
I mean, Diane, can you follow up on, just to see what, I don't know, it sounds like somebody's waiting for a signed letter or something like that,
So can you contact Jeff or the company and make sure that they are, or if they're not, what it is exactly they're waiting for?
So I would move, if necessary, for the chair or the designee to sign any sort of letter to that effect.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can we make that an ASAP item?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
that's a call tomorrow.
I already put an email in today.
Excellent.
I figured.
I haven't heard back, which is kind of unusual.
So you can follow up by phone tomorrow.
So you authorizing the chair to sign?
Yeah,
If they need a letter, you
It's-
know, authorizing them to,
Yep. Okay.
it sounds like and it's not a bad thing, it sounds like he wants stuff in writing, the chain, and that's fine.
right, HDMI cable, anyone can,
And
That-
just- You can,
When the building was designed, there was supposed to be a cable run for the iron responding to display, so when the members come into the station, they can see it. It was a Cat 5 cable that was run. We need an HDMI cable. The phone contractor that the board hired to do the installation of the phones, stopped in today, and Mr. Foote talked to him, and he's actually coming back to run that HDMI cable.
now, I seem to recall many months ago how we were hearing about all this cable being run, even though it may not necessarily be needed at the time, because it was easier to run it then than it would be after the walls were closed.
This is actually it's a straight shot. It's through the suspended ceiling. It's not going from one end of the building to the other. It was measured out, it's like 35 feet total. The hardest part is to run it down the wall. But there is a chase there, so it's a matter of just pop the ceiling tiles from the apparatus bay over the ceiling of the drill room into the electrical room and to the computer that's inside there.
All right, you're not the person for me to be asking why we didn't do this already, but I won't ask you that question. Are we looking to purchase it, to pay someone to run the cable? I see a dollar amount here. What is it that we're actually looking to?
This is new to me, so found somebody who could do it, Larry found somebody who could do it cheaper, I guess.
All right, so do we have some kind of a
This is,
There was
invoice,
was a-
estimate, something?
verbal quote given to the EOC director of less than $200.
In that
Which is
case,
not one
Madam
of-
Chair, I would suggest we put it on the next agenda when the,
EOC chair.
Yeah,
was just gonna
unfortunately,
say
I
he's here.
can't work off of a verbal quote.
But let me ask you a silly question. So would this be in scope of the original project?
You would have to talk to the project manager on that.
Because to me, it sounds like it's not.
It was, we,
Here's what I'm getting at. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but here's what I'm getting at, is the fire station is essentially done except for the remediation of the sprinkler system, which we know that's in the works. We've talked about that. So to me, it sounds like if we have, for instance, on the agenda, fire station update, we're basically, at this point, getting updates on the remediation plan for the sprinkler system. So anything else sounds like it's, now we're maintaining a
It-
building we live in.
I can personally tell you, it should have been there.
Okay. Okay.
I can personally tell you there's a few other things that should have been there.
Okay. That were
But
in
I'm
scope,
I'm not the person
that were in scope of the original plan.
that we're in the scope of the original plan.
Can you give us a list? Not here as we stand here.
The
I'm
project
just-
the project
Yeah.
manager has the list.
Okay, all right. Because we should, tidy up the list, is basically.
The project
what I'm saying.
manager has the list. The project managers who met with the contractors. I didn't meet with the contractors,
Yep,
but I know there is an electrician coming in to do some finish-up stuff. If it was within the scope of the original job, I could not tell you that.
so you're talking about punch list type items?
Yes, sir.
When you move into a house and you need
It-
plates
all-
on the wall?
Exactly. All
yeah,
this is
yeah, Okay.
punch lists.
All right, okay. That punch list doesn't bother me. The fact that if this is indeed just a couple $100s, I think it's a just go do. You know,
The only other one that didn't make it, and I don't know if it can wait, the EOC, the generator was installed today. They're coming next week. They were gonna tie it in. But again, I don't know if it was in the scope. I was told it wasn't. I'm being told it, depending on who you talk to, the town needs to hire a contractor to dig the trench, because the propane company that the town uses will not dig the trench. They are coming next week to run the gas line for that new generator. The trench has to be dug.
yeah, and I think, and just so everybody knows, this is the grant generator that
Correct. And
we're getting.
No
Yeah.
fault of Mr. Foote. I blame the person, not Mr. Foote, I blame the person that bid on this job. Because the person that bid on the job knew that the electrical had to be tied in and knew that the propane had to be tied in.
Who bid on the installation of the generator?
That all came through the
But you're
grant.
saying, when you say on this job, you're talking about who bid on the installation of
To
the
install that
generator?
new generator in that fire station.
Okay,
He hired the electrician, he never hired the propane company to tie in the propane.
and,
And I know the next meeting is January 2nd. Like I said, they're coming, Mr. Foot pushed the propane company to get there before the end of the year, so he could close out the grant. The trench needs to be dug before they get here.
So when you say the person who bid on it, you're talking about, what are they? HVAC, gas, electrical?
That was my opinion.
You don't have to name the person. but
I don't know who it was.
Okay.
I did not hire the individuals.
Okay.
All I know is I was told by the director, through the grant, they were coming on this date to put the slab, they were coming this date to put the fence.
All right.
They come in this date.
So,
There's a lot of holes that you don't have the information on, nor should you. I mean, you're not...
Madam Chair, it's not my
There should be
grant.
somebody, exactly, you should not have this, but the person who has this information should be here or should have sent this information to us in writing or something. We're working blind here. I mean, you've got secondhand information that you are trying to present to us as board members. It is very...
We appreciate your attempts. It's just
We
frustrating.
really do.
No,
But, I
I
mean...
understand that. I can tell you, it was the original thought at 9 o'clock this morning, the EOC director and myself were going to cut the trench. He called DigSafe today. We were going to, by hand, cut the trench. We were informed, good luck, you're not going to be able to break the frost line. So that took it totally out. That could be why the board, short notice on the board's half. Because like I said, as of this morning, we were going to do it internally.
But I don't know what kind of decision we as a board can make. We don't know, do we need to contact whoever was contracted to do this work and get them to do the work because it was part of their contract? If we don't know who it was, we don't know what's in their contract. We don't know what it's going to cost us to break the ground or if we can even get anyone to break the ground.
so can I make a suggestion? This might solve it, or at least get us on the way to solving it. And I realize there's a key person here that's not here to answer our questions, but can we, could we have Diane, could we have Diane reach out to our architect, have the architect determine whether this was in scope
This
of
was-
the project plan?
According to the project manager, not to stop you,
Right,
sir.
but-
According to the project manager, this was not in the scope of the building.
Okay.
The project manager says at the beginning, the generator was going to totally fall under Seabrook.
Yeah,
The EOC director says it wasn't.
okay.
I'm in the middle.
So again, and I understand you're in the middle. So I'd like to go, but I'd still like to go back to the architect, because the architect, and I'm no expert, but the architect is the beginning of this whole thing. If the architect doesn't draw it, it doesn't get done in the project. So the architect can tell us if it was in there, and if it was in there, then I think we need to add it to the punch list of things to get done. If it's not in there, then January 2nd, when we're back here, we figure out what to do. But maybe the, like I said, might not solve the whole problem, but it's a place to start, so.
What I was hearing from the chief is that there was a separate entity, for lack of a, because there's no identification here, there was a separate entity that was actually contracted to do this installation when we got the Seabrook grant.
And again, nothing
And
against...
it's
the-
whether or not it was included in that
Right.
particular contract, not in the project.
Correct. The EOC director tried to have this
What I'm saying
generator...
is, let's verify.
He tried
I know
getting
what
this
you're saying,
generator
I want to verify.
a long time ago. The grant just came through.
Yeah, right,
He
right.
applied for this grant. He's been trying for
Right.
this
Right,
grant for a
but we
long
need to
time.
know who the contractor is, or, the entity, who did the hiring, who did the scope, or what the scope is, there, like I said, there's a lot of information that we don't have, we can't make a decision on.
Because
No.
there was a pad put down, right? So,
Correct.
yeah, yeah,
I was there
yeah.
when the contractors came. Okay? To me, it's pretty simple. I want to contract you to tie this generator into that building.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me the cost.
Yeah.
I was there when the EOC director told the contractors, he had a list to go by, I believe it was the grant people. This is the list. I was there when he told them to do it. We didn't find out it wasn't getting done, I think, until last Friday, that the tie-it into the building wasn't the total tie-in.
All
Okay,
right,
so I want to make sure that the board understands, the EOC director, I was there. This is on
Yeah, we
the
just need to
contractor.
get more
My
information.
concern, the reason I'm bringing it up, because my concern is if the town, if the board has to fund this, because if the money's not in the grant.
this is why we need information from the person who received the grant, who filed for the grant, to fill in the gaps of information. So hopefully we can get that information and address it as soon as possible.
So I'll make it a motion if I have to, but my idea of reaching out, just to verify. I hear everything that's being
Yep,
stated,
I
but I
don't,
just want to
I
verify
have no
it.
problem with Diane reaching out and making sure that it's not there on the project
Right,
plan.
right.
I'm sure it's not, but absolutely, Diane, you can go reach out. It's not going to change the fact that we really can't move forward on planning to dig a trench without having additional information from EOC. So hopefully we can get that information ASAP, but in the meantime, we can't really do anything. We have nothing to work with, is all I'm saying.
Now, the good news, the happy ending to this story that people should be aware is we're essentially getting a free generator, where a generator we need, Seabrook Station is paying for it. All we have to do is get it hooked up. So,
And I'll be honest with you, if all the town has to spend is to dig a trench,
that's an easy.
Yeah, but we don't, we still don't know what that would even cost.
Yeah, but people just need to understand, we're looking at the last, 10 yards here. It's like we have to invest to get it plugged in, okay? Somebody's walking up to your house and saying, I'm gonna give you a free generator that's gonna run your whole house. You just need to get somebody to plug it in. We would all take that in a second. So we
And-
shouldn't lose sight of the fact that people did a lot of work here
Based-
to get this
Right.
grant. So-
And
based on the
speaking
project
of-
manager, there's 200 and something thousand still left in the bond.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know what the exact amount was. He said it enough times.
Okay, so, all right, I think we've pretty much gone as far as we can on this subject, so I'd like to move on to the next one, which is Comcast move phone line.
Mine's real easy.
Good.
He has another phone line he needs to have moved, and we're going to move it from Earthlink over to Comcast. So we need the chairperson to sign the authorization that says, yeah, Comcast, go get that phone line and move it over. And
Now,
there'll be
this
an
is get phone
activation
line from
fee. There'll be
35
an
South?
activation fee of $29.95 for that line.
And this
Oh,
is moving it from 35 South Main Street to 8
Yeah.
Merrimack Road.
Well, yeah,
I'm
Madam Chair,
just
I would move
clarifying.
that the vice chair sign the
LOA.
line movable
LOA.
fee thing, whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll second it.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that is the last line, correct, to be moved?
I don't know. I thought the last line was 3 weeks ago, so he keeps adding to my list.
There's, just to clear it up, going to make it simple, there's a little confusion with this EOC stuff. That's all it is. The lines that the EOC needs and the fire department needs. That's all.
So at this point,
But there
the
are no
fire
more
department
phone
will have 4
lines over
lines.
there that need to come over, correct? For
After the-
any department?
After this line comes over, fire department is good. As of this morning, according to the director, they're still finishing up the lines for the EOC.
We do not have control over 4 lines from Seabrook, which is the EOC.
Okay. And-
Those are
and
staying with Earthlink.
we don't have costs associated with moving
We
or
do
anything?
not.
Perfect,
The
okay,
only
that's
cost
all
we
I care
have
about.
is this extra line that he wants. So
I only
you-
care about anything that's
Yeah.
going to cost me money.
So
All right,
he's up to 4 lines at the fire department from 3.
okay. So we've got Comcast taken care of. Letter from resident Kevin Donegan. There,
So I think we can hit this one really quick, is resident Kevin Donegan sent the board a letter that he kind of aggregated a bunch of residents' questions about the new station. I think we've drafted a response because we had to draft it because we had to get the answers from a couple of different sources just to verify it. The only thing I think we're waiting on, one of the big things, and people should be aware of this, is we're a municipality, so a lot of stuff we can't scan in to a computer and make available for everybody online. So we have, architecture drawings which are available. You have them in the office
I have,
now, most of them.
no, I have some.
But we're working on getting the others, right?
There are no others.
There are no others.
Whatever I have is what we have, which
Okay.
is an alteration of terrain
Yep.
thing, and then the one preliminary designs. That's
Yep.
what I have.
So what are we missing that they're at? Is there a reason?
You should talk to the construction manager
Okay. All right.
if you want.
but essentially, plans should be available in the selectman's office, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and the only other part of it too is that Larry with the grants had wanted to meet with this resident individually rather than answering the letter, with another letter. My suggestion would be, if he wants to meet with the resident individually, it's a good idea. But I don't think it necessarily solves, he's aggregating questions from other residents, so
Exactly.
if he answered with some sort of formal thing, because I assume what the resident's going to do is post this on Facebook so people can read it and respond. So I would, and Larry's not here, but I would suggest Larry feeds us that information so we can add it.
So we
to
are
the
currently
response.
working on all of the responses, don't quite have them yet, so hopefully in the near future, we'll have all those responses.
We're probably 90% there. The only thing, is we don't meet again until January 2nd. I wouldn't want to wait until, January 3rd to send the response to the letter. So if the board wants to review the draft in their email beforehand, if they see any issues, by such and such date, we'll press submit or send with the email, but you'll have an opportunity to come back. Like I said, all this, there's no mystery with this information, it's just getting our hands on it and aggregating it together.
And
So,
I have no problem with the information just being sent to the resident, because
yeah.
the information won't change no matter who it comes from.
Right.
It is what it is.
Right.
So I have no problem with it just going out to the resident when it's completed.
Well-
Obviously verified for accuracy.
Right, but
That's what I was
some
getting
of
at,
the
is the accuracy.
some of the documents that were requested are not, we do not have the ability to reproduce them.
Right, which means the response in the letter would be, you are free to come
Come
in
and
look
view
at
them,
them.
yeah.
Exactly, which I'm okay with as well. But my point is whether Matt says you can come in and look at those plans, or Diane says you can come in and look at those plans, it's going to be the same answer regardless of which one of them it comes from, because that's the only way they can look at it.
Right.
Is if they
Yeah,
come in.
and what I was talking about was accuracy, that's all I was
Yes,
talking
exactly.
about.
So maybe some punctuation or grammatical, just that sort of review
Not
of,
as concerned about that, as just the accuracy of the answer.
Yep.
That's all I was concerned about. So we'll make that happen.
so that's fine. All right, so our next item, we have budget reviews. So first one, fire department.
Good evening again.
So Chief, what would you like to tell us about your, no, that's financial. Yeah, if you look at the tab.
There's little tabs on the side?
Yep, I just told him.
Okay.
What we did is we adjusted the budget to reflect the new matrix that was just adopted. And we lowered our budget by 300, and it was less, so depending on which amended budget you have there, the variance from 2018 to 2019 would be $312. So we're at,
Negative or positive?
So are you requesting $300 more or $300
$300.
less?
less, 325 less.
Madam Chairman, I would move to include the fire department budget in the draft town budget. Without thanks to the chief.
I will second for discussion.
Yeah, second for so you said 325,
It originally was 5,325, but we took the five. I'll take the full amount and put it into salaries, because we really don't know with the new matrix. And the other thing is with the expense for the new facility, I kept it at what it was for 35 South Main Street. It's a new fire station. We have no
Yeah.
idea
right?
Right.
what it's gonna cost to maintain that new fire station.
So I'm reading a budget variance of $2,825. That's what it says right there.
We all
No.
have that one.
And that was as of yesterday.
We don't have one for
No, I
300.
s- I
not
sent
the
the new one out,
corrected
I
one.
apologize. After, there was an email sent out after the meeting on Saturday with the matrix. We changed it. I thought I sent it, I apologize.
None of us have it.
Apologize.
Yes, it was emailed.
It was emailed, because this is, what was the very-
Yeah, we did get the email, we just thought it was in the book, so.
And I have no problem level funding a budget for 2019 and taking that extra 324, 325 and put it either under facility or on the salaries, because either one, we don't know.
I think Kim can help us with this. You get it?
This is the one, yeah, this is the one without the internet. I took that, excuse me.
Can we use the microphone so that way it's recorded? Let me discuss it.
And we'll come up to the table.
The good news is we're kind of moving in the right direction still.
What, closer to the previous budget?
No, we're still lower than.
Yes.
So it's basically salary, is what
Correct.
you're saying.
Correct. One of the questions that I had was just answered.
So the proposed budget for 2019 is 338,400 or 300 and something?
167.5, yeah. We added the 5.
341, 225.
Yep, we added the 5. Yep, the only difference is still right here. We only, no. I did-
341,
here.
225, guys?
That's what I'm-
Okay.
yeah.
All right, that's what the screw up was. Okay,
Here.
thank you. You got it. There was, one of my lines came out, which was the internet. That was one of the questions. What I'd like to do is the remaining amount, so we can be level funded, go into the facilities. If you notice, it says other expenditures facilities. It says 0 in there. I'd like to take the remaining,
Yep. All right, so you had 500 in there,
and you can see
Last year.
exactly what was,
All right.
and you want that 325?
well, no. According to what you're looking at, should be 2825 extra.
Okay, so the 2825 is
Is
the
correct
right one?
Yes.
Okay, so that is, so we are looking at the right
We're
one.
looking at the right, what happened was the one that I originally proposed had a line that was removed. It was removed today.
All right, so he wants to increase facilities
removed
from
today.
500 to
So we're going to update
2,800.
this book, right?
That,
The
Yeah.
book is good.
I have no problem with
No, but
that.
it sounds like there's a
Yeah.
line that has to be updated.
No, the
No,
book is good.
we're actually looking at the one that had it
You're looking at the right one.
updated.
The one that I had still
one you
has the line in
emailed.
it. Correct.
Okay.
So it will
So,
be,
as I said like 10 minutes ago.
I apologize.
So a $2,825 difference.
And he wants to take that 2,800 and add it to other facilities.
So I asked the question again, the book's going to be updated then, right?
You'll have the new one from the fire department first
Perfect,
thing tomorrow
okay.
morning.
Perfect, okay.
So I would entertain a motion.
Sorry.
There's already a motion.
Is
I
there a
s- I
motion to
seconded
accept
it.
it?
Yes,
All right.
yeah.
Any other discussion? No? All in
Thank you,
favor?
Chief.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, next budget, police. Our other chief. And thank you, chief. I think we might actually be done with everything you have.
Are we really?
Yeah, it looks that way.
Evening, Board. Mike Jewett, Police Chief. For the 2019 proposed budget, what you guys have in front of you, again, is a little bit different from what I have. There was a little bit of a change in it today based upon the pay matrix.
So
Holy
we,
moly.
we can't do this, you know? I mean, we can do this right now, but we can't keep doing this.
No, we
We're
can't.
flipping through books and they're,
This is crazy.
I can
All right,
provide
so
you-
we're
It's-
looking at,
it's
in
a
this,
general, just a general statement to department heads is we got to keep these things up to date. Thank you.
all right, so we're
book I'm
looking
gonna
at
put
an
right
increase
here,
of 1938,
Okay.
okay?
I didn't want the fire chief to feel left out.
Which
so I did
is
Thank you. It's a brotherhood thing.
just
I know.
over $1,800 more than what you proposed yesterday, so to speak.
Exactly.
If I may make a comment, both the fire chief and both the fire department and the police department have, for the past couple of years, been very stringent and very careful in their expenditures of town monies. I'm not going to argue or question your need for less than $2,000 differential, so I will move to include the police department budget in the
Draft town budget.
town draft budget.
Give
Thank
a
you.
dollar amount, please, because we don't have it.
I don't have it here either.
Matt has it. It is,
Should be 643.
Six-
$643,882.
all right, thank you.
I'll second, and I'll say, I don't have a problem with it either. I just like to be looking at the right form.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I realize
Just like
that.
to look at the right numbers, which, I mean, I see decreases, I see what we would expect to see
Yeah.
for movement, so, all in favor? Aye.
Aye. So if you just want to give a general overview of the changes you
Yeah, no,
probably,
that's fine.
We already took our vote.
no, but the residents
Oh.
didn't hear.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was, as the chair had said, there's been I cut several line items on the budget to offset some of the increases that we've had to do, which gave me an increase of $1,938 from the previous year's budget. You know, one of the things that I try to do is try to keep that budget number the same every year. We haven't really increased it. There's been line items on this that have been the same prior to my predecessor coming. So it's, you know, I think it's important that we, as myself as the police chief, try to keep that budget with the taxpayers in mind.
Thank you, chief.
Thank you.
All right, our next item, financial administration. So tab 3.
All right, so
Yeah, that one's good.
this one's good?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Kim,
It seems that way.
Kim, you can come up to the table, it'll be easier for you.
That was 1, 2.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep, financial administration. Oh, that's why, because there's the tab 3.
Yeah, the tabs are before.
Okay. Okay, so financial administration, I'm going to guess that this one actually is current as of this
Yes.
evening?
Yes.
I did it today. I finished it up today, so you should have the current one.
All right, so a quick summary, what can you
Well,
tell us about
I
changes?
have a bottom line of 149,021. Is that what you're
Yep.
looking
Yes.
at? Okay. This budget consists of the bookkeeper, the treasurer, the trustee of trust funds, and some other, the auditing, avatar support for many offices, as well as our IT budget. What we have proposed, under equipment lease, as you know, we are already into a lease with Hewlett-Packard. We're on year 2. It's for the server and 1 laptop. And Diane and I and Nancy have been working together with Armon. Lisa, you might remember a few years back, they gave us a scope of what we had for services and equipment and what should, according to what they recommend, what the town should do. And back in, I think it was 2016, the amount of money that cost was too much to do in 1 year. So we're kind of going through phases or different stages and entering into leases to bring everybody's equipment and services to current date.
And that's mainly because we have computers and printers and other peripherals that are so old, they're not even covered under any kind of warranty, or it makes it difficult to find parts or software, if you need to do any upgrades, which is why we are doing this in a staggered approach, so that it's not too much of a hit each year, but it has to be done, or eventually, we'll be back to the days of pen and paper.
One could say good things about that. However, in the meantime, Madam Chair, I would propose that we add the financial administration budget to the proposed draft town budget.
I would second that. Any discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, our next item is personnel, no.
So before you move,
Oh, there we go, office.
Madam Chair, before you move off the financial, just so you guys, you understand that we're going to be entering into a lease agreement to update PCs, okay? And the lease agreement is for like 3 years for 14-something, I forget what the code.
14,371, and we have a
Right,
proposal.
and there is a clause that allows us to
To
walk away from this, so it's not like we're locked into a 3-year lease.
Right. And
So at any time, if our proposed budget doesn't go through, whatever, we have to walk away, we are able to do so,
Right.
which is a requirement.
Correct, and the reason why we're doing this is because in January of 2020, anything running Windows 7 will no longer be supported. We are a municipality, therefore we need to remain up to date. You don't want to get a virus and lose people's data. So that's another reason that we really need to do this. And it also put everybody on the same playing field. Right now, we have people running Office 2007. This way here, with the subscriptions that we're going to be using for Office 365, everybody will have the exact same version. They'll be updated at the exact same time.
And then this way, we won't have the communication issues like we just recently had between 2 departments, where one has an older, by a couple of releases, version of an Office product
Yep.
than the person who created the document.
So that's the plan. That's why we tried to include this all in there.
Sounds good. Thank you. All right, our next one is executive. And who's gonna,
One is mine.
all right.
Basically, I increased the salaries for the new matrix. And my difference is an increase of $590. I cut several other things. We took the computer line out, the 1,600, and zeroed that out because of the computers being under these lease agreements.
Yep.
So we no longer need that. There's a equipment purchase. I don't see a need for that. We had 1,500, I lowered it to 5. If we need a new office printer or something, colored printer, we at least have that.
Or if an office chair breaks.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, otherwise, everything is pretty much the same, except the little bit of increase in the salary line.
Madam Chair, I would move that we add the executive budget to the proposed draft town budget.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next item is general government buildings.
I'll need Kim's help on this one. This was a tough one. With the new fire station, it's very difficult to predict the expenses for like propane or fuel or, you know. So Kim and I put our heads together, she more than me, but we came up with a number that we think the board will be okay with.
All right, so Kim, do you have anything you want to add to that?
We were really aware of the, especially with like the chemical toilets and the dumpster, because we are making some changes as to what locations are going to have the dumpster year-round versus, say, the town beach or Greenie Park. We wouldn't want to pay for 12 months of the toilet or the dumpster. We kind of cut back a little bit on that, knowing when the usage is. So we were able to reduce that a little bit. Grounds, let's see.
So it looks like the biggest increases are all utilities, such as
Yeah.
electricity, oil, et cetera, correct?
Yep.
Correct. Prices have gone up, plus some of this, it's a real hard estimate with how long is the central fire station going to be using utilities. Now we have the new fire station, and we have a few months under our belt, somewhat of what some of the electricity and the propane is going to be, but we really don't know. We don't have the history for a full year.
And we're kind of heating and electricity for both
Yeah.
locations, at least for a bit of parallel anyways.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So,
Madam Chair, I would move that we add the general government building account as presented to the proposed draft town budget,
Second.
any discussion?
other than the fact that it's redundant to say proposed draft.
Right,
Yeah.
just draft, town draft.
I'll let Diane choose which word she wants.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, next one, personnel administration. Why are you sitting down?
This,
You can go to-
this budget
Yep.
is kind of like it has a lot of different components to it. It has our health and our dental insurance, and since we have the new rates for next year, and knowing right now who our eligible employees are who are wishing to have dental and health and/or health coverage, we're able to put together what the town's cost is for each. Short-term disability as well. The Medicare, FICA, and New Hampshire retirement are all based upon pay. So what I've done is, with the information that I've received from the other budgets and from the board, I've put together a preliminary number for payroll, and I've been able to calculate each category, the Social Security, the FICA, and, the FICA and the Medicare and the retirement, depending upon what information's going to be forthcoming to me from individuals, changes of pay. I will revisit that to make sure that I have captured everything I need to.
All right, and it's a net decrease in the proposed budget of $960.
Yes.
I have to say, your calculations last year of anticipated versus budgeted.
Are so close.
No, I'm sorry, but that deserves a round of applause. I mean, you came within 96 cents.
Of one, yeah. It's hard. I mean, the retirement's difficult because people's, their pay changes, they may work overtime. You just don't know what the need is during the year, so you just,
But still,
you
it
can.
puts a lot of faith into,
Into
how
the numbers that
close.
you generate when you
Yes.
can,
So we can feel confident that at the end of next year, we're not going to be looking at a serious shortfall because we can have confidence based on prior.
Madam Chair, I would move that we place the personnel administration budget in the draft town budget.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, our next item, town assessor.
This is based on the contract that the board's going to sign later,
Okay.
I think.
So,
So this basically covers data verification and the assessing, and $20 for the assessing dues.
Madam Chair, I would move that we include the assessing budget in the draft town budget.
A second?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Next item, revised library budget. And we are looking at the revisions have been highlighted. Thank you. As we expected.
Yes.
I think there were 3 on that one, right?
That was the old one.
Oh, okay.
There's just 1 page for that one.
Yep, we got the one page. And so we are looking at an increase of 9,346, with it being salaries, custodial, and maintenance.
Madam Chair, I would move to place the proposed library budget in the draft town budget.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next item, revised town clerk budget. Now, our town clerk revised budget as well? Yep, she probably got updates from state, et cetera. We have revisions to the town clerk fees and the town clerk state fees. And these are the fees that she actually collects, but she needs to reflect them as well, correct?
Right. Madam Chair, I would move that we place the revised town clerk budget in the draft town budget.
Hang on, I haven't found it yet.
Yeah, I figured you were waiting for it. Tab number.
That was 9.
So,
Yeah,
look
it's
at tab
funny,
9.
Didn't look like it was on 9.
Pink one, I think, right? Or no, not pink.
No, it's green.
Green?
Green.
Okay.
But 9 comes out to conservation.
Yes, it's the next one.
So 8?
9 came to
Election,
election.
all right, I have it. Thanks.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, so we've
That's the
gone,
right one.
No, I'm looking
Oh,
for the
okay.
one that I flipped to.
we've gone up, but it's on the fees and the, like you were just saying.
Yep. So, you seconded? Yes?
Yeah, I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Our next item, revised conservation budget.
It's right here.
Oh, never mind. That doesn't look revised.
They added a line. I think,
All right, so there's a revision where they took money out of one line and put it in another line, and then the bottom line isn't changing.
correct.
All right, so essentially, conservation is no longer going to compensate the secretary for doing their minutes, et cetera, is what I'm taking from this. Oh, no, they're just not going to compensate as much.
Yeah, they,
They're taking 500 from the salary because there hasn't been as much work for the secretary. So they've decreased the salary on that, and then they put it towards water quality management. And I think that has a lot to do with Country Pond and water testing.
Madam Chair, I would move that we include the revised conservation budget in the draft town budget.
Second.
Seconded by Matt. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
You
All
have
right.
a note here about encumbered funds.
About-
Diane, you
Yep.
wrote it.
Yeah, encumbered funds. That's
Wrote
Kim
in-
again.
Oh, yeah, that's not
that
on
came
the
in-
online.
I didn't know if it was related to the
No, this
conservation
is, no,
budget. This is its own standalone.
Its own,
so
sorry.
that's the only reason I brought that up.
All right.
you.
But it is something we need Kim for, and I don't think we need you for anything else after this, right?
She does have one other thing.
She does?
M.
N?
M is in Mary.
Oh. Ah, gotcha. All right, so why don't we take care of both of those so we can let you go home? If you want to speak to the encumbered funds? There we go.
Well, I have a list, I provided a list of the departments and what they submitted for requests for monies to be encumbered into next year. They're for services or items that have been purchased this year, but we don't yet have the bills for to pay. The departments that have the asterisks next to them,
Yep.
or at least the election and registration at this point, they are overdrafted this year. I spoke with the town auditor, there's a note at the bottom of the encumbrance page. And should the board decide that they wanted to encumber funds from a department that has no monies, because typically you have to have the money in your budget in order to encumber it.
Guys, just so you know, this isn't on the computer, so
Okay.
we're going to have to share it between three of us.
And so you can get a look at it as well.
So for a department that may be overdrafted or very, very close, you can vote to transfer funds from another budget
Yep.
that has to the budget that's needing the money.
All right,
Then
so
vote to encumber, you've got to do
the amounts
two.
from those particular
Correct, but you also
department
have to
budgets.
include that, whatever the overdraft is, add that into the encumbered request.
Do
that
we
you-
need copies for that?
All right, yeah, so
I can run out
do
back
we
and make
have
a
that,
copy.
do we actually have that information, what the budgets are for these, what the and what the numbers are that we would
Have that
need?
information that I can provide you tonight if you wish to approve these.
Yeah, because we would have to
Okay,
encumber.
Do you know, like, can you tell us just off the top, are we really, we're not in danger of blowing any budgets, right? They're not
Bottom
spending.
but
line,
we already have
absolutely not.
two that, those asterisk ones, they're already over budget.
The
Those,
bottom
can I see it
line-
again?
He just went to get
Okay,
copies.
all right.
Their bottom line is already over budget for two departments.
Election and registration, right now, we have one more payroll to take into consideration, is over by $5,431. There's a request for software, which I believe that was presented to the board, in the amount of $8,833. If the board would like to approve the software as an encumbrance, the board will have to vote to transfer money, say, for example, from the legal budget, to cover the overdraft, the anticipated payroll, and the encumbered amount. What that total would be $18,064.
All right, so, now, in this budget workbook here, is there a grand total sheet?
I don't
No.
think so.
Okay.
Kim's got one in the
Sorry.
works, the
For
proposed.
2019 or
Yeah.
2018?
The 2019, right?
Yeah, or it, with the 2018 totals.
She's been entering things in, but
Okay.
we weren't done yet, so.
Okay. I'm just looking to see where we stood as a whole.
Overall?
Yes.
For 2018?
Yes.
Isn't that in that summary of expenditures? Would
Yes.
that be it?
Yeah.
The
on your
summary of
shared,
expenditures?
Look at the summary of expenditures. I
It's
think the
between 2 and
third-
300,000.
The third one down.
The operating budget total? Is that what they would look at?
Summary of expenditures for 2018.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's in, okay, I get it.
Yep,
Yeah.
budget expenditure balance, got it.
So if you look, it's operating budget total halfway down.
Yep, so we can see that election is out. Public safety, government buildings, highways, not taking from there.
Quite honestly, we can take, I believe, $4,000 from the planning board budget, from their legal line.
I think Kim and I had a couple of ideas, Kim, where we could take the monies from.
Legal has a balance of $25,702.47. And I've already run the last manifest of the year, so that number is a good number. So there is money
So that's from just one department's, the
from the
so
legal budget.
selectmen's legal line?
Pardon me?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the selectmen's legal line?
That, correct.
Okay, so we can take it all out of that one line?
For election, absolutely.
Okay.
Or, I think he's talking about for the total 39,009.
The other budgets all have theirs, those,
No, they're, correct. The other budgets all have
Oh.
monies left over.
Right.
Okay, yeah, so it's just the
The asterisk ones.
88 and 66, so that's
so, Madam Chairman,
1,500.
I would make a motion that we transfer $8,833 from the, oh, sorry, that's the total encumbrance, that's not what they need.
Correct, because
Correct.
Can you
they're,
give us the numbers that would need to be transferred to?
all right,
$18,064.
That's for the two.
or just
But
for
we have to
elections,
transfer
or-
into the election and registration budget, and we have to transfer into the fire department
Two
budget.
separate articles,
We're
Jim.
working on the
Yep.
election and registration.
Yeah,
You need to put in the money to cover the overdraft. That's number one.
oh, there's an overdraft
Yeah,
also,
so
okay, I'm
currently-
sorry.
Currently, election and registration is over budget by $5,300.
Okay, so can you give me that?
But are we aware of any other,
Payroll.
yeah,
Got an estimated payroll, which brings it up to, you've got your overdraft of 5431,
Right,
5,431. Estimated payroll, you've got 3,800. If
okay,
it's more, that little bit will just come out of the 2019 budget. And then the encumbered money is $8,833 for a total of $18,064 that needs to be transferred from a budget that has money to her budget.
okay, in which case, Madam Chair, I would move that we transfer $18,064 from
Legal.
Legal.
the legal line for, is it the administration budget?
It's legal.
Oh, okay,
it's
just the legal
line,
budget.
yeah.
Into the election and registration budget.
Second.
Right. And the reason we're doing this is because, A, we need to cover an over expenditure, over budget, and because we were already approached about the clerk software that they will be using. And people can refer to the previous meeting minutes for that information, or talk to the town clerk to get details on it, but it was definitely something that is seen as a need and not a want for that software. So if there's no other discussion other than my comments, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now, do you have a number that would need to be transferred into the fire department?
So if I may, before we get to the number, so Chief, you've got, so Firematic Supply Company, it looks like gas meters, valves, cylinders, holder.
That can wait. Unfortunately, as the board knows, with the fire department budget, when the bookkeeper sends it to me, things change in regards to the new station. When that was submitted, my bottom line in my budget had enough to cover that. After review and standing up here today with the newest one, you can scratch that. I'll just take it out of the 2019 budget.
Okay?
And that's the firematic supply gas meter
Yeah,
valve?
we'll take that out of the budget.
And it's, just out of curiosity, is that for trucks? Is that,
Correct. It's, we use 2 meters now.
Yeah.
Instead of using 2, that would be 1. I'll just,
so, and then the other one was the first access thing, which you told us was kind of a, we had to go out and do it, and we needed to do it before we knew if there was room in the bond to, I know he's having another conversation, so.
Would you guys mind sharing this information with the rest of the class?
yeah. Yeah, we're just discussing the new matrix on how 2018 payroll could change. That's all.
Okay.
And that first access,
Yeah.
that was put on there because it deals with the new fire station, as
Yeah,
the
and
board
this,
knows.
but it's balance due for telephone installation. So it is something that we need to pay. It's,
Yes,
yeah,
Right.
and we need to pay this.
To pay the other half.
Exactly.
Right.
So this isn't something we can say, take that off of there. We still
no,
need
you
to
have
pay
to do
this.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we think we're going to absorb it within the bond with the, right? Because that was a, when we approved that was a, just go out and do it because we needed to do it at that point, right? Because to do it later on down the road, we wouldn't, right? I'm remembering this correctly?
Correct.
Okay.
Madam Chair, as much as the fire chief says that he has no problem putting off, I would like to see us actually encumber the money for the repairs for the trucks out
Yeah.
of this year's money.
Are these repairs or new purchases?
It's a new purchase, it's new equipment.
Right, but it's a gas meter valve,
Hey.
cylinders and holders.
The cylinders and holders to the unit that we already currently have, that is so, what that does is, instead of sending out all our meters that we have out and pay for it to be sent out a couple of years ago, the board approved us to buy the meter, so we do all our testing in-house. This new meter requires hydrogen cyanide, is what it's gonna do. So it
Lovely.
needs the valve and the rest of that unit to complete it, is what it was.
I would like to see us actually complete this. It's sort of, to me, similar to the thing.
The software
but
that we're
the
doing
so-
for
The
election?
software. These are things that are essential and shouldn't be eating into next year's budget.
That's a good vote. That's fine
If
with
we,
me.
if we have the ability to encumber the money to cover it, I would rather see us spend it with, it's sort of like, you've got a couple of dollars left. I mean, these are tiny numbers compared to some of the ones that I've worked with on another municipal organization.
You don't have to name it, you don't have to call it out.
Yeah,
Not only that, if you wind up with your default budget next year, then it would be even harder to find a way to get this out
Exactly.
of that
Leave it
budget.
up to the board, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't have a, trust me, I will never refuse nothing the board wants to send
I
to
ju-
this
I
side of
just-
the table.
after seeing how many years in a row, like you and the police chief have tried to maintain perfectly level funded budgets, even though everything else has gone up in price, and you haven't come back wailing and moaning that, you know, you ran out of money, you can't have gasoline for the cruisers.
Remember when the chief was begging for bullets? Bullets?
Yeah.
Don't tell the criminals, but we really need bullets, so.
I think there should be, it's not really a reward, but I would move, if Ms. Kim will give us the number that needs to be moved into the fire department budget to balance it and to supply the
Two
funds
items.
to encumber.
Thank you.
In speaking with the chief,
That a motion?
he has a balance of
Not yet, we don't.
$10,215 right now left in his budget without considering the monthly payroll that's coming through. And I had an estimate of maybe 9,500, and he believes it could be a little bit higher with the new matrix.
Okay.
So my suggestion would be is to just take the total of these two amounts, which is $7,774.50. Encumber that whole amount, transfer it from, say, general government buildings.
Okay. And that's exact, I'm going to move that we, Madam Chair, that we move $7,774.50 from general government buildings to the fire department budget.
Second?
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So the rest of our encumbrances are all covered under
Yes.
budget
right.
surpluses.
So now I need motions.
Madam Chair, I would move that we encumber $39,984.38 for the list of items presented this evening.
And for the people in the audience, you've already heard about the clerk software the fire department needs. There's also, for public hearing legal notices, which obviously have to be paid for. There is stormwater management, MS4 program, another requirement that we have to pay for. Engineering assistance for the alteration of terrain permit. This, again, we need to provide information to the state. Police department, there's some open invoices out there for credit card purchases, so it needs to be encumbered because they haven't gotten it yet, can't pay it yet. And an APX 8000 all-band model with charger, I'm guessing that's a radio. So again, we need our police to have radios that work. Landscaper depot, 10 yards of sand for town beach. We did get it, I believe, or we will, so we know it's coming. We've already approved it. And then the final item is for the transfer station, some materials to actually repair one of the sheds. So those are just, that's what makes up the $39,984.38. So any other discussion, comments, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And my screensaver came on, so
Kim,
I
did we
lost my
have
spots.
Any carry forwards or anything? No, okay.
So I have, I hate to do this because Kim just sat down, but I have a question. So the lifeguards, as we know, that was a warrant article that was approved, $12,000 for the lifeguards. We went out, tried to hire lifeguards, had no applications to speak of. We weren't the only municipality who had a problem with them. So the 12,000 will go into the general fund, correct? So what we want to try to do next year is actually try to recruit and train lifeguards so we get our own lifeguards. Now, I know we cannot encumber payroll, right? Because that's essentially what it would be. So we can't encumber those funds, but however, does the board have the ability to take that 12 grand in January, for example, and take it out of the general fund and move it into, say, the rec fund so it can be used? No?
No.
So the 12 grand's going to the general fund.
It doesn't actually go in the general fund, it has to be returned to the voters.
No, it goes in the general fund.
And it may be
Oh.
returned to the voters.
No,
through-
that was a special
not
warrant article,
appropriated.
therefore it
Yeah,
has
it's
to
not
be
appropriated,
returned.
it's returned.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Specified a date as well, I think it
Right,
May to September, June to September.
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
the
okay.
money could only be spent during that time period.
And for that purpose.
Right.
So we'll just have to do another warrant article and hope
Yeah.
it, yeah, okay.
All right, and item M, request from employee to carry over PTO from 2018. I
Actually, Nancy
don't,
should be presenting
I don't
this.
think you need to get up for that one. No, you stay there. We just,
I can just speak on that real quick.
Yes, please.
She planned on taking 3 Thursdays off in a row, but with so much work and trying to get ready for tonight,
we talked her out of it.
she decided to be a good doobie and, you know, help us out. So she couldn't use all her PTO.
Madam Chair, I would authorize the carrying over of PTO time by the supplicant applicant.
Supplicant.
19.25.
Do you know how to spell that word?
No.
Because I don't know how to spell that word.
So
My
19,
antihistamine wore off about an hour ago. My head is gradually filling.
so 19.25 hours carryover of PTO. Anything else we need to know? And that, we're just letting it carry over, which means it'll have to be used next year.
And we can
Along
say
with the regular.
Kim's name, right? So we can apply it.
We just did?
Yes.
Okay. Just be-
How
be
about
sure.
for the bookkeeper? So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, you're not losing your hours. I said you're not losing your hours.
We kept her here so long tonight, she probably deserved extra.
Yeah, she probably hasn't even eaten yet, right?
This is about as close as to vacation as you can get, right? Just hanging out.
All right, thank you, Kim. We appreciate your
Thank you,
patience with
Kim.
us.
Thanks.
What else do we have? So now if we go to town report quote, there's an update for the printing?
Yep, you asked me to go back to RAM, and they did meet the quote of $12.60.
Madam Chair, I move we award the town report printing to Ram Press
At
per
the
their,
revised quote?
at their revised quote.
Do I have a
I
second?
will second that.
All right, Matt seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next, KV Partners, MS4 Engineering Assistance Contract.
This is a contract to have KV Partners, who's our town engineer, also with the planning board, assist in the preparation of the MS4 form. I would move that, is that a
We just need to sign
chair
the...
signature or a board signature?
Is there a dollar amount? I'm not sure which one this is.
I would move that either the board or the chair sign the KV Partner MS4 Engineering Assistance Contract.
It's just one person signs it.
Okay, so
Okay.
that would be the vice chair.
Doesn't say.
Is that from the planning board?
All right, so it was a move for vice chair to sign. Do I have a second?
Oh, there it is. It's
All right.
22,900.
Okay.
And Matt seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And next item, annual payment request for fire warden and permit writers.
That's the payroll for the fire department who issues burn permits.
All right, and this is for all the fire wardens who do the issuing? And do they get fees?
I believe
They
they
get-
get $4 per permit.
Right, so they get a set amount per number of permits that they issue on behalf of the town.
Yep.
And that comes to a total of $1,482.76. Correct?
482,
One for,
Yeah, $1,482.76.
okay. And the form is in there where you all have to sign, giving the treasurer permission to pay it.
Which I see, so we need an authorization to, or...
Move to author, move
sign.
to sign the
Invoice?
it's basically a manifest to pay the,
Yeah, it's a bill. Forest Fire Report bill.
right,
And we sign the bill and authorize the bookkeeper to pay?
yes.
Treasurer.
Yeah, the treasurer to pay. Perfect, I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's done. Our next item is Veterans Day breakfast, payment for the school custodian.
yeah, they wanted us to pay for it.
Yeah, so I'll just say very quickly, and we don't have to belabor the point, but the Veterans Day breakfast we talked about earlier, in order to have a kitchen and stuff, we approached the school about partnering with us on this, and they did waive I believe it was the usage fee and the management fee, which was nice. But they have charged us $192.50 for a custodian for the day for the breakfast. So we had hoped we could partner with the school board on this, so we sent them a letter asking them if maybe they wanted to pick this up. Did they want to come to the breakfast and help us put on the breakfast, but we haven't heard back from the school, right?
That's correct.
So we will send the school a check for $192.50.
And,
On this manifest.
It's on the manifest.
okay, so this is just a discussion item, not an,
No, it's-
because when we sign the manifest or
Yeah,
authorize,
done.
we're authorizing
Yeah.
this.
Yep.
All right, next, 2019 Dragon Mosquito Permit Application. I'm guessing this is just to sign to allow Dragon Mosquito to do their spraying?
I believe that's what that is, right?
Yes, that's the preliminary to get ready for the permit with the state for next summer.
So is it one signature or many?
I think it's just the chair or the vice chair.
Move to have the vice chair sign the Dragon mosquito permit application.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Matt seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Next item, FEMA award for storm-related expenses. Is there anyone here who can speak to it?
Excuse me, I can try. So, Kim left, and she could have spoke to it really well. So basically, FEMA was offering to reimburse towns for the storm from March 13, 2018. And we were awarded some money for it.
I believe we got the
Now,
check.
do we know who put in for this
Excuse me.
award and what project that is being funded based on that disaster?
It's on the paperwork. It was the March storm, I think.
March
Right, but
13th.
I'm just wondering what that $23,000 is actually paying for.
It's on the phone.
I think it's for snow plowing, snow removal is what it's
Okay.
for.
There we go, thank you, that's what I was
Sorry.
looking for. All right, so it's for the snow cleanup,
Snow
based on
cleanup,
that
right, yep.
nor'easter that we had,
During election.
that everybody had a traipse in for, so at least they're gonna reimburse us some money.
Thank God we didn't have two in a row.
All right, and that's just information purposes, correct? Nothing to sign?
I believe, yeah, I don't think there was anything on this
I
one.
didn't see anything in it that looked
Okay.
like we needed to sign.
Yep,
All
just
right,
an announce.
Next item, transfer station employee. Somebody know anything about this particular item?
Just announcing. Is
Yep.
that what-
Well, you have to
Oh.
vote. Nobody voted yet. I was told I had to. vote.
Madam Chair, I would vote that we add David Glover as a part-time employee
Part-time, yeah.
to work at the transfer station.
Can we put in
For up to,
no more than?
No, no,
or
no.
no more than 20 some odd
No
hours?
more than 20.
Oh, okay. Certainly no more than 24 hours a week.
Second.
All right, seconded by Matt. Any discussion? This is due to another employee leaving, so we're moving this one into
Right.
the part-time status.
Do we need to remove the seasonal position or?
That goes away. This
Automatic.
person now becomes just a regular,
Okay,
Yep, so he's
Sure.
changing positions.
yeah, just wanted
All
to
right.
be sure.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, accept and, oh, yes. So we have, as a board, we've referred to it a few times. Other departments have referred to it as well. It is available for anyone to review at any time should they wish to come and review. But there is a new pay matrix that was drafted. The lion's share was drafted by Selectman Doggett with inputs from the remaining members of the board. And this was due to the old pay matrix, which is used to calculate increases or pay raises for employees. They were reaching the end or actually off of matrix because it only went so far. So we created a new one. It allows for growth and for time and to keep people on a matrix. We just need to officially vote to rescind the previous or the old matrix because we've already adopted the new one.
So okay. But you amended it though, right?
Yes, it has been amended.
So if you accept and replace the 2018 pay matrix with the amended 2019 pay matrix? Is that what you're doing?
Yes, that is what we're doing.
So that's your motion?
Yeah.
Yes, that automatically eliminates the previous one.
Okay. Well, I was just saying I needed a motion, so are you making that motion? Or?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Okay, so there is a motion to accept and replace 2018 pay matrix with amended 2019 pay matrix. I will second that motion.
So would the amended, would today be the date that we would?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
So
just to
this
be
is
sure.
with today's date, so it is the amended matrix.
Yep. as
And
of
this is
date.
where it stands, so it is
Gotcha.
effective as of today.
Right, thank you.
Any other discussions, questions, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, next item, Kinsley Drive.
Madam Chair, Kinsley Drive, which is a recent development here in Newton, has requested the release of their road bond and the town acceptance of Kinsley Drive as a public road. The planning board has reviewed the request. The town engineer has reviewed the actual paving and what have you, for the actual build of the road, as has the town road agent, both of which have sent us clean letters recommending that should the Board of Selectmen choose, there would be no problem with acceptance. Therefore, I would move that we, A, release the road bond in the amount of $32,981.23 plus interest on the held road bond upon receipt of a $25,686 road maintenance bond, which the town will hold for 2 years.
All right,
I'll second.
okay, Matt seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item 2, I would move that we accept Kinsley Town as a town road per recommendation from the planning board. Once again, it meets the requirements from the town engineer and the road agent.
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion, comments, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So Kinsley Drive is now a town road.
So,
It-
Jim,
Right.
would Gail be, once she gets the 25,000, she'll let us know so we can then tell the treasurer to
Well,
release?
Technically, he should be bringing that to the town. Planning board doesn't hold the road maintenance bond.
No, they don't hold it, but
But no, it doesn't come through, it comes through, that's got to go through the
it
selectmen's.
comes through our office?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, next item, DOT signage improvement project on Route 108. Chairman's signature required for agreement that DOT will be handling traffic control during the project. So,
So what I read is that they're going to be putting new curve signs. I guess signs that say there's a curve coming up. And when they're doing this work during the summer of 2019, they're going to do their traffic control. So you're agreeing to say, yeah, they're going to do the traffic control.
so you're talking about like around New Boston Road and around
State
Maple
roads,
Road?
any state
Right, but on 108, but on those like curvature.
Well, it says any state road.
So I assume what
Okay.
that means is they're gonna get us for a detail and pay for it? Is that,
All they said, all the letter says is
does
that
that
they
sound
will.
like something you've heard of before, chief?
Or is it they're supplying their own flagmen?
It just says they will take care of the traffic control.
They have the ability to do either.
So DOT is going, it has a signage improvement project planned on Route 108. And we just need to, we need to sign a agreement that they will handle traffic control during the project.
Otherwise what?
They would bill them.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
right.
And you're aware of this and,
I sent you the email. I know how that is.
you don't have an issue with us signing that, correct?
Yeah,
All
right.
right, then I would be willing to entertain a motion.
I move to have the vice
I
chair.
think Matt just so moved.
Well, we're not supposed to do just so moves.
It's close to Jim's heart, he can do.
And there's
Not really.
two
I'll-
forms, you need to sign both, please.
I'll move to have the vice chair sign the DOT signage improvement project agreements.
I'll second that.
All right, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are on to other business.
Madam Chair, no, we do have two other items. I would move to have KB Partners, who is the town engineer, complete the requisite alteration of terrain forms necessary by the state.
Second that.
All right, and this is just information that DES requested be provided to them upon acceptance, issuance of that permit.
Right.
So, just for members of the board, or of the audience. Does anybody have any other comments, concerns? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Madam Chair, I would move that we contract our assessing with Andrea Louis,
Louis,
is there a company name?
no.
Who is our current assessor?
Second?
All right, so this is just a new contract because of an
Right,
old one, so.
it's an annual contract.
For 2019. We do it yearly.
All right, so it's a 2019 contract for, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any other business?
Madam Chair, I would move that we sign the vendor manifest dated 12/18/2018 in the amount of $148,422.30.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Madam Chair, I would move that we sign the fire rescue manifest dated 12/18/2018 in the amount of $390.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Madam Chair, I would move that we sign the payroll manifest for the pay period 11/25/2018 to 12/8/2018 with a pay date of 12/13/2018.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. All right, I would move that we sign tax abatement for tax map 10-4-2 in the amount of $286.50 for tax year 2018.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
And under correspondence, I would move to sign thank you letters to Boy Scout Troop 91 for color guard at the Veterans Day Pancake Breakfast.
Second.
And I would like to offer their thanks and for doing so.
Absolutely.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And along the same lines, I'd like to move to sign thank you letters to Girl Scout Troop 12959 for helping to serve the guests at the Veterans Day Pancake Breakfast.
Second.
And again, my thanks as well. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to thank Chief Jewett's daughter. She did a fabulous job
Yes.
helping. What
That's
was her-
true, yeah.
What's her name, Chief? Avery.
Avery. She
Thank
blended
you,
in.
Avery.
She
You
blended
did
in
very
with the
well.
troop.
She was wonderful.
Yep, she was great.
All right, Chief, do you have anything else for us? Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Lisa, I had one thing that should have been signed downstairs, but this is on the manifest. Can you guys just sign this?
Do
Is-
we need to?
I think
pass it
we
here?
made a motion to sign that, we
No, I
just
don't
didn't
think-
sign it.
I don't think we did, but
No,
That'll
If
go
you don't mind
welfare.
making a motion for it, we can do so.
Have to mention names or anything?
Right.
No.
Just- Okay.
I'm going to move to sign welfare manifest.
Is it in the amount of $900?
Yeah, I thought we did that.
Did that,
Did you
down-
do
we,
it?
Yes, we
Yeah,
did do that.
Sorry.
Yep, we did that one. We're
You
good.
need to
Still need to
sign.
sign it.
Yep.
I totally
Madam Chair, I would move that on behalf of the town of Newton, that we wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. Hanukkah has already passed, Kwanzaa is still yet to come.
And a safe and joyous season, how's that?
Yes.
Second for discussion.
And what would you like to discuss?
We get to go home early on Monday.
By the way, I hate to, we've got that all mapped out, right? This will be the first year we don't have to figure out what we're doing Christmas Eve and,
Yeah, because they work all day on Christmas Eve and then,
okay.
Yeah,
It's all,
Because Monday it's 4 PM.
doing it year to year anymore, right? It's all.
No, it's all mapped out.
It was
Okay.
always the transfer station that had the issue.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect.
yeah.
And that's been straightened out this year. so.
No, the problem's going to be the following week when everybody wants to
Right.
go home on Christmas Eve day. early.
New Year's?
Yeah,
Yeah,
something like
New
that.
Year's Eve day.
yeah.
All right, I would, are there any announcements that we haven't made?
Move to adjourn,
Second.
Second by Matt,
non-debatable.
non-debatable. We adjourn at
9:50.
9:49 PM.